ASEAN, officially the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, is an economic union comprising 10 member states in Southeast Asia, which promotes intergovernmental cooperation and facilitates economic, political, security, military, educational, and sociocultural integration among its members and other countries in Asia. ASEAN's primary objective was to accelerate economic growth and through that social progress in cultural development. A secondary objective was to promote regional peace and stability based on the rule of law and the principle of United Nations Charter. With some of the fastest growing economies in the world, ASEAN has broadened its objective beyond the economic and social spheres. In 2003, ASEAN moved along the path of EU by agreeing to establish an ASEAN community comprising 3 pillars, namely the ASEAN Security Community, the ASEAN Economic Community, and the ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community. The 10 stalks of rice represent the 10 Southeast Asian countries bound together in solidarity. ASEAN also regularly engages other countries in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. A major partner of Shanghai Cooperation Organization, ASEAN maintains a global network of alliances and dialogue partners and is considered by many as a global powerhouse, the central union for cooperation in Asia-Pacific, and a prominent and influential organization. It is involved in numerous international affairs and hosts diplomatic missions throughout the world. ASEAN was preceded by an organization formed on 31 July 1961 called the Association of Southeast Asia, a group consisting of Thailand, the Philippines, and the Federation of Malaya. ASEAN itself was created on 8 August 1967, when the foreign ministers of 5 countries, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Singapore, and Thailand, signed the ASEAN Declaration. As set out in the declaration, the aims and purposes of ASEAN are to accelerate economic growth, social progress, and cultural development in the region, to promote regional peace, collaboration and mutual assistance on matters of common interest, to provide assistance to each other in the form of training and research facilities, to collaborate for better utilization of agriculture and industry to raise the living standards of the people, to promote Southeast Asian studies and to maintain close, beneficial cooperation with existing international organizations with similar aims and purposes. The creation of ASEAN was motivated by a common fear of communism. The group achieved greater cohesion in the mid-1970s following a change in the balance of power. After the end of the Vietnam War in 1975, the region's dynamic economic growth during the 1970s strengthened the organization, enabling ASEAN to adopt a unified response to Vietnam's invasion of Cambodia in 1979. ASEAN's first summit meeting, held in Bali, Indonesia in 1976, resulted in an agreement on several industrial projects and the signing of a treaty of amity and cooperation, and a declaration of concord. The end of the Cold War allowed ASEAN countries to exercise greater political independence in the region, and in the 1990s, ASEAN emerged as a leading voice on regional trade and security issues. On 7 January 1984, Brunei became ASEAN's 6th member, and on 28 July 1995, following the end of the Cold War, Vietnam joined as the 7th member. Laos and Myanmar joined 2 years later on 23 July 1997. Cambodia was to join at the same time as Laos and Myanmar, but a coup in 1997 and other internal instability delayed its entry. It then joined on 30 April 1999 following the stabilization of its government. In 2006, ASEAN was given observer status at the United Nations General Assembly. In response, the organization awarded the status of dialogue partner to the UN. On 15 December 2008, member states met in Jakarta to launch a charter, signed in November 2007, to move closer to an EU-style community. The charter turned ASEAN into a legal entity and aimed to create a single free trade area for the region encompassing 500 million people. President of Indonesia Susilo Bambang Yudhoyono stated, "This is a momentous development when ASEAN is consolidating, integrating, and transforming itself into a community. It is achieved while ASEAN seeks a more vigorous role in Asian and global affairs at a time when the international system is experiencing a seismic shift." referring to climate change and economic upheaval. He concluded, Southeast Asia is no longer the bitterly divided, war-torn region it was in the 1960s and 1970s. The financial crisis of 2007-2008 was seen as a threat to the Charter's goals, and also set forth the idea of a proposed human rights body to be discussed at a future summit in February 2009. This proposition caused controversy, as the body would not have the power to impose sanctions or punish countries which violated citizens' rights and would, therefore, be limited in effectiveness. The body was established later in 2009 as the